My name is Coco Olakunle, and I'm a photographer and a mentor. And I basically like everything that has to do with photography. So I give workshops. I have a photography book club. I have a space where we are in now, where I do all sorts of photography-related events. And I'm based in Amsterdam.
Could you give us a bit of insight into how long you've been in photography? All this kind of freelance work is all entrepreneurship at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So could you help us understand the longevity of from when you started to now?
Yeah,
and how it is running.
I got a camera when for my 14th birthday, and it was a very old one. I could put it somewhere, press the button, run in front, and then had time to take pictures of myself, basically. So I started taking pictures of myself, of my friends, and then went back to the computer and edit everything. And I felt like, whoa, I want to become an artist. So I applied for art school. This was back in 2009. And I didn't get in. Then I applied for another art school, also got rejected. So I went a different way. I studied human geography and urban planning, but I always felt more safe and comfortable with images. I'm super dyslexic, so naturally images spoke to me more. It was easier for me to express in images than in writing and reading. I did my study, but I always felt like everything that I learned, I wanted to share it in visuals. But back in the day, at university, they weren't really interested in showing research in images because they felt like it was not on the same level as writing. And then I started working in a photography museum, and that's where I learned more about photography as an art form. And later I started working in advertising, and that's where I learned more about photography in the commercial world. And after that I started freelancing.
And how's business been?
Business has been good, actually. I mean, of course, it always goes like this. Sometimes you wake up and you feel like, oh, everyone forgot about me. And then your phone rings and then they keep calling and it gets really busy. But it's been going well. And I think it's also a process where first you take every job that you can because you want to make money and you're a photographer, so that's what you do. And as you grow, you learn more about what kind of photographer you are, and also maybe even more important, the way you work. So the job has to fit your work style. I like to take my time with people. I'm not a photographer that just shows up and I click and then goes. So I need time, but not every job has space for that kind of time. So when you grow, then there's also sometimes jobs that you say no to, and then you eat dry rice. For the rest of the month. You have your dignity. Exactly. I mean, sometimes I don't have dignity and I do it anyway.
You said it started when you were 14 and you used to go back to your computer and edit the pictures. What softwares were you using back then?
This is 2007, 8. So I don't even paint.
Paint.
I was like, was it paint? I think so. And I also remembered putting these pictures into templates that it looks like your pictures on the walls on the street somewhere in New York.
I remember that.
Work a lot with like colors, exaggeration. I guess it was my first, the beginning of me enjoying photography and understanding or learning to understand how you can edit and what kind of work I wanted to make back then.
As you mentioned, we're in your showroom.
Showroom.
Yes.
Right
now, which is full of books and fashion, a lot from the African continent, a lot from just general culture.
Yeah.
So what's your connection between your own photography and like this visual storytelling that's described in all of these things that you have a huge passion about as well?
I think Showroom is a space where things come together that I and Carmen, my partner, already were working on. So Carmen and I we used to travel to Nigeria and do productions there together. And then we felt like we want to show what we do and what we like and what we're interested in. But that cannot happen somewhere on the 5th floor in an office building. So we were looking for a space that is on the ground floor where people can actually look inside and walk inside. And then, so this became our office space, but also a creative space where we have exhibitions, where we have a lot of beautiful photography books, and some designer clothes from the continent. And sometimes, people ask me like, oh, so what is it that you show here? It's really an extension of what we are interested in. So if we like it, you can find it here. And most of the books come from African artists, photographers. But I'm also extending to other continents. But I think that will always be the main focus, and then everything else that I also like and I want other people to see, I will add that to it.
And what are the we know you do book clubs as well. So what's the focus around that, and how do people receive it?
The photography book club is my favorite thing that I started like maybe 2 years ago. Okay, the concept is photography books, jollof rice, and wine. And it's always on a Sunday afternoon with music. It's very low key. It's an event where you can just come by yourself. And the idea behind it is to appreciate photography, not on your screen, but on paper. And a book in itself is already an art piece. So I felt like, when you're scrolling on your phone, you look at your images or at images on Instagram, for example, and the images are this size. Literally this size, right? So imagine if I felt like I want to give the photography the respect it deserves, and slow down, and also learn about a book or a series from beginning to end, because we always rush through life, basically. So that's where the idea came from, and it's been really well received, and I'm very proud of it. I can see people connecting, people that don't know each other. People get inspired. They share their passion projects with each other. There's even people that met at the photography book club, and then they come the next time they come together. So I'm very happy with that, and it's also something that I want to bring to other cities. So the next one is going to be in Rotterdam. And I want to do one in Antwerp, and I'm now planning also to do one in Lagos, Nigeria, and then I don't know, Paris,
Kenya.
London, Kenya. Speaking
of the continent and the work you like to do in Nigeria and across the African continent, I've seen you've done shoots for Dutch brands in Lagos, like for the New Originals, Filing Pieces. I've seen you shoot motions for Vogue Italia. So how important have these crossovers been with?
I think for me it was a way to find my way as a photographer on the continent, to do these crossovers. I'm also very proud to be Nigerian, so I also wanted to show the people here that this is also Lagos. And I've noticed that after that people see the series I shot in for example, Lagos, they're like, oh, I also want to go to Nigeria. And we always say, you can just buy a ticket. So that somehow people are still like, oh, yeah, but I think that crossover is interesting for me because it's a combination of your creativity and your identity, and those two things come together when you can, when you can make a series that has that crossover. So yeah,
I think that's it.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah. I told you I wouldn't have you in front of the camera for too long. But do you have any words of wisdom you'd like to pass on to a young photographer trying to figure it out?
Oh, words of wisdom. I hope it doesn't sound too cliche, but believe in your own story. Sometimes we feel like, we need to come with this really incredible story that is on the other side of the world, but there's already so much story in yourself, or for example, within your family. Ask your parents how they met, and you get a whole story. Or talk with your grandparents, or talk with your neighbor. So there's already a lot of great stories in your own environment, and I think that's really a good place to start.
I love that. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.